Now, I have another video I want to record after this for my Anime Quest channel, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about this now. It's been out for about a week. The trailer has maybe a little more than that, and maybe a little less. Man, my information's really shaky. But anyways, it's been out for about a week, and that is the Metal Gear Survive trailer. I'm going to talk about this real quick, because the funny thing is Hideo Kojima, around the time when I started making videos on YouTube in general, before I got my gaming YouTube channel up and running, one of the things that always inspired me to want to get a gaming channel was some of my favorite franchises and companies and the games that they make, because one of the reasons why I'm even doing this now is because I'm very passionate about what I'm talking about on this channel, and this channel isn't just video games. I didn't restrict this channel to any one particular topic like I did my Anime Quest channel, but still, Metal Gear and Resident Evil are both two of my favorite franchises of all time. They are both right there, tied for number one. Once The Last of Us 2 comes out, if it comes out, that will officially also be up there. It's kind of sad that I have two zombie video games up there, but two zombie video game franchises up there, but whatever. I can't help what I like. But anyways, they're two of my favorite franchises of all time, and it's so sad. They've both given me so many great memories. Resident Evil has given me a lot of great memories with my brother and my older cousin, my older brother and my older cousin, and a little bit of memories with my younger cousin, who I played multiplayer with on Resident Evil 5 and 6 before, especially 5. We played that a lot. I have a lot of really special memories with that game despite its quality, but it's just so sad to see my favorite franchises being flushed down the shitter and taking a huge, big ol' fucking dump. I've made a video about this already. WTF is happening to my video game franchises? Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. The video didn't do very well, but I'm very proud of it. It's some of my favorite work that I've done. It has had a lot of editing. But one of the things is, these franchises are just so near and dear to my heart. It's sad to see all this shit happening with them now that I'm older. It's like, it's not just the fact that I've grown older and grown a bit more cynical. It's also the fact that they're genuinely getting worse and just aren't as good as they used to be. Metal Gear Solid 4 ended that series on such a satisfying and amazing note. I did not have to see another Metal Gear Solid game ever. I mean, ever. You know, and Raiden's story, for example, it was all closed up. His chapter was done. Snake's chapter was done. Everyone's chapter was done. And then all that just starts getting unraveled. Peace Walker came out, and that game's actually really good. But the only problem is I had to get a Game Boy to play it. So that kind of sucked. So Peace Walker came out, forced me to get not a Game Boy. Why did I say a Game Boy? Oh shit, could you imagine trying to even run that game on a Game Boy? That wouldn't work. Peace Walker on the PSP, I had to get a PlayStation Portable just so I could play Peace Walker. I didn't give a shit about Acid and stuff like that, but Metal Gear Acid, but I had to get a PlayStation Portable to play Peace Walker. Rising Revengeance came out, and that just completely unraveled all the tied up loose ends and character development that was concluded with in Metal Gear Solid 4. All those epic moments, all that him pining and wanting to get out of the game, completely undone. A really cool fucking game, by the way, I'm just saying, but still, that from the story aspect, I feel like it really did a disservice to the ending that was built up by 4. Then they just couldn't leave well enough alone, and of course, sure as shit, Metal Gear Solid 5 had to come around. Now Metal Gear Survive? Metal Gear Survive. I'll tell you this much. I am not nearly as disappointed with Metal Gear Survive, especially since I'm probably not going to support it. I'll buy it. I'm going to buy it pre-owned, because fuck Konami, I'm not going to buy it new. But I'm going to buy it because I want to give it a try. My morbid curiosity has been piqued. But still, it's just like, really? You couldn't leave well enough alone. We had to make a 5th installment. That just had to happen, even though, you know, Metal Gear Solid 3 and Peace Walker set up Big Boss's character well enough already. So we couldn't leave well enough alone, as the phrase goes. And we had to make Ground Zeroes and Peace Walker, which were fun games, but they pale in comparison to Metal Gear Solid, the previous Metal Gear Solid games in gameplay. Yes, the gameplay is incredibly refined. I will give it that. It plays a lot smoother and is a lot more streamlined than previous Metal Gear games. Metal Gear Solid 4 is also very streamlined, but nowhere near as bad as Metal Gear Solid 5. So, yes, the gameplay is arguably to many better, but to me it's not, because it doesn't hold the same amount of charm that older Metal Gears have. 4 doesn't really have that much of a charm either, but it still has a lot more going for it in the gameplay department, if you ask me, than Metal Gear Solid 5 does. And then the story department, don't even get me started. The cutscenes from Kojima's old games, the music, the Harry Gregson Williams, the cutscenes, the build-up, the characters, the bosses, they were phenomenal. And Metal Gear Solid 5 just came in like Sahelanthropus, and just crushed it and stepped on it like Godzilla knocking over a bunch of buildings. Like, what the fuck? Why did that even have to be made? Because Konami needed a Metal Gear game. I don't even think Kojima wanted to make another one. He poured all of his heart and soul into it and treated it more or less like any other Metal Gear game he was making, except for just, in my opinion, not as good and a bit misguided. But still, phenomenal. And now we have Metal Gear Survive. Now, I'm not as pissed off at Metal Gear Survive. There was a point to me bringing up Resident Evil and my favorite franchises and stuff earlier. I'm not as pissed off at Metal Gear Solid Survive, or it's just Metal Gear Survive. It's a spin-off. It's not Metal Gear Solid. Remove the Solid. That's what a lot of people have a hard time doing, that and realizing that, hey, it's just a spin-off, even though I'm still pissed at it. Fuck that game for even existing. But I'm not as pissed at it as I am with Resident Evil 7. But yet Resident Evil 7 isn't getting near as much hate, mainly just because Capcom isn't as hated as Konami is. In fact, I'm pretty sure Capcom is probably thanking their lucky stars for all the fuck-ups with Konami. I would literally just be in like, woo, we dodged the bullet with that one over at the Capcom main office. I'd just be like, thank God they suck a whole lot worse than us. Now we have time to actually just stay low and then build up a good reputation again, which they've been doing. I've been enjoying some of their last games. A few games they've been showing a little bit of love for Mega Man and stuff. Like, Capcom's been doing good, but Resident Evil 7, if you ask me personally, is an absolute travesty. It has absolutely none of the charm of Resident Evil. Resident Evil was never scary for me, and, it was one of those things where how could it be? Even the classic titles were just too goofy. Resident Evil Remake and Resident Evil 0, a little bit, but they still are a bit more colorful and have the same colored cast of characters. Now we're eliminating the characters. We're becoming a run-and-hide simulator. We don't have the same great gameplay from the original Resident Evils, which a lot of people argue that it's bad gameplay. For me, I just argue that it's intentional. The way it was set up was intentional to evoke a certain experience. And now it's one of those fucking run-and-hide simulators, I like to call them. It's basically Outlast or Amnesia with a bit of a combat system. That's literally all it is. And we don't have the same characters. It just looks shitty. So I give Metal Gear Survive a pass for being a spin-off. It's a bit more of a pass, because Resident Evil 7 has the gall to be a main installment. You know what it is? It's just the fact that they're hurting financially, Capcom, I mean. So they probably are making a title that's a bit more of a low budget, like Resident Evil 7, and are making it one of those run-and-hide simulators. They probably can't afford to make a AAA action game, so now they want to capitalize on the name, make it a main installment, try to sort of do a marketing campaign like PT did. Their marketing campaign for this game is pretty damn good. And then they just basically did the cheapest job, copied the latest trend, and then slap a sticker on it and throw it out. That's what they're doing. And you can argue the original Resident Evils weren't completely original. They had the same formula, the same fixed camera angles as, Alone in the Dark. But, before Resident Evil, not a huge amount of games used fixed camera angles. Now you have, like, every other game doing, the whole run-and-hide simulator, corridor walking, not even survival horror, just horror games. At least RE7 is going to be survival horror, because I prefer survival horror to just plain horror. There is a difference. But still. I'm a bit more forgiving of Metal Gear Survive. It is just a spin-off. It's really stupid. I mean, fucking zombies literally left for Metal Gear. That's what it is. Left for Metal Gear Dead, basically. It's like, what are you guys thinking? Konami's fucked. They're really fucked. And the funny thing is, I really just want to see them just burn out and die. That's not going to happen because apparently their pachinko business does do well, and they have other businesses completely outside of games, you know, video games and card games and stuff. And then they have Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, what's going to happen to Yu-Gi-Oh? Yu-Gi-Oh is going to be around probably for a while. I would love to see them die out. Maybe see some of their franchises get completely bought up by different companies. Maybe Wizards of the Coast will get Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh god, could you imagine that combination? That would be hilarious. For those of you who don't know, Wizards of the Coast are the company who publish Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, the card game, and a few others that I'm just are escaping my mind. But anyways, that's basically my thought on this. It sucks that this is happening to my franchise. I can't believe this is where it's going. I'm a little shocked that Konami's even making a AAA game, although I'm not really shocked because it is Metal Gear and it is an obvious cash grab and it is one of the most like uninspired ideas ever. Literally just as bad as just copying every other horror game that's coming out. They are basically copying the, you know, the four-man survival against all the zombies that we've seen in Left 4 Dead and fucking Call of Duty zombies, for example, is basically just that basic bitch horde mode of a game. And I guess it's not really fair to judge till we actually see gameplay, but without the solid story of a Metal Gear game, you know, the story that's usually presented with heart and originality and the characters that you love, yeah, it is a lot like Resident Evil 7. I just don't see a point in even getting into it, you know, for the gameplay. I mean, they say stealth is going to be a part of Metal Gear Survive. I don't see how that's going to fucking happen, but still, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter at all. What's the big deal if we don't get to see like Big Boss and or other characters like Otacon? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Why would anybody give a shit about this game other than the fact that they're pissed at Konami and want to shit on it? That's the only reason I can think of. For me, I just don't even care enough at this point to get all angry and up in arms about it. I'm sure coming in to listen to videos like this is what you guys are looking for, is for people to just be super raged. Oh my god, I'm so fucking pissed. I'm sure that's what you want to hear, but that's just not what I'm going to give you. It's just not what I'm going to give you at all. In conclusion, I hadn't decided on a title until the end. I think I'm going to just, since I talked quite a bit about Resident Evil as well, I think I'm just going to title this Resident Evil 7 versus Metal Gear Survive. This started out as basically just a reaction video, but it went on for hours, 13 minutes, whatever. But it went on for a long time, basically me comparing, contrasting, giving my reasons why I'm angry with this and why at the same time I kind of don't really mind it, and why I'm angry with Resident Evil 7 and how I do mind what they're doing with that. And so I guess I'll title it Resident Evil 7 versus Metal Gear Survive, which is worse. Which seems worse. To me, Resident Evil 7 is just a complete bastardization of what Resident Evil is. You know, Resident Evil 6 and 5, hate them as you will, they still have seemingly, I will have to say, because neither of these games are out yet, so you can't really judge them. This is all pre-judging. But seemingly, Resident Evil 5 and 6 have more in common with Resident Evil's core concept as a whole and, you know, the very heart of what Resident Evil is than Resident Evil 7 at the moment. That's just the way it seems. I'll talk about Resident Evil 7 in more depth later. But that's my thought on the situation. Those are my thoughts. Have a good one.